everybody to just
Like a circle. Yeah. Sit down in a circle.
Well, I know that, oh my God. Met her about 10 years ago, worked with her in my project, which is bringing arts programs into correctional facilities for juveniles, juvenile offenders, and women, primarily in Montgomery County, but also worked in Prince George's and Baltimore. And Debbie has been a storyteller for many years, and I'm sure she'll tell you a little bit more detail about that. But she has worked all...
Most of the poems in the book are written from a child's perspective. I literally sat in the dark and tried to imagine myself in a myriad of different human rights issues and life-threatening circumstances, and that's how I wrote the poetry. However, one poem from, for Fiji is written from my perspective, and it's very interesting where you do your work because it's very relevant to that. It's called The Little Boy, and here's how it looks in the book. So, the little boy becomes a man. This is how it goes. What the world teaches him is likely all he knows. If he learns about abuse instead of human rights, what will he hold on to in the darkness of his nights? If he watches girls get hurt, used and thrown away, if he sees crimes committed and no one has to pay, if he learns about the world from things that don't seem just, if innocence is sold for money, greed, and lust, if no one cares enough to shape his heart and mind, if he never learns the things that make us good and kind, if compassion isn't taught in every single land, who will the little boy be when he becomes a man?
Travel. I have journeyed far from here, and I've placed my name on the dirt roads of the motherlands and wide open plains as far as the eyes can see. I've seen with my spirit, my heart, my mind, and in dreams, those African warriors who stood in fear of the only home they have ever known, their promised land, and what the future brings to their families. This was our home. This is where we laid the bones of our dead and born our new. Here is where we fell in love with our mate and married them too. Some, they say, has had visions of what is to come, but I remember most is the spirits of our old. They flow like the malted flame, burning like fire, always running through our blood. They will never ever die because they are like the drums of Africa, our heartbeat. They help us to remember where we come from. Remember those traitors and invaders that have stolen the richness of our soul, stolen the land, stealing everything that keeps our tribes from surviving and starving, the children from crying and dying, to sickness as our hearts bled. They took it all and left us nothing. They stripped the land and left our mothers, fathers crying for their sons and daughters, left husbands weeping and wives wailing for the broken families they will never ever regain. Then you look upon us with pity because we have nothing. They look at us and say we look dirty and our clothes are rags and our water we carry upon our heads. We were rich and the land was ours. Our families were complete. We had kings and queens and water flowing. Our bellies were full and our spirit was free. Then we were split up and lost. Then we were stolen. Thieves came in and trapped us like animals, caught in their nets, chained by the neck, dragged to their ships and beaten with a whip. Being groped and touched in ways that made us feel like no one should feel. Being stripped of all humanity, making us lose our sanity while we try to remember the name we were born with and the freedom we had was real. We, the first slaves from Africa to the shores of the north, we have been stolen and shipped with no room to breathe, sick and dying, hungry and trying to stay alive, babies clinging to their mother's chest. She will not make it for her mother's sake. Lying in our own feces, the stench unbearable, degrading us in every way. And some, with the first chance, jump overboard, warriors with pride who will die instead of being a slave. The warriors who will stand again in heaven to fight again another day. We have come from slave trades to civil rights leaders. We have endured the cruelties of the body, the soul, and the heart, arriving to become, as the years go on, militant parties resulting in liberation struggle for our freedom. And that's just to start. The first of many to die, leaving behind others to try to finish the fight we have started from, only to find our struggle ending in poverty, drugs, babies born out of love, and finding yourself trying to figure out what kind of man you are because they told you that you were no good and a poor excuse for a father. So why should you bother? Now, separated from your children, you forgot how to be a good man. So the woman steps in, crying because she has to be the woman of the home and the man. She becomes the provider. She is the teacher, the preacher. Her back heavy from carrying that load, but still the same. She does hold strong, adapts, take hold of the strap at times and tells us we will be good men and beautiful queens. Even if it kills her, she stays on our arse. Yes, we have many that have led our way. Power to the people. We love you, black woman. Wake up, black man. You're black. Be proud. What happens to today's black army that's going to walk on this nation? What happened to what we want? Have our youth not been taught? They have a right to what's theirs. Employment, decent housing, education, fair trials, equal pay, as Huey would say. Wait, as I remember, that was then and still today. But what happens to the future today? Is it fading away, like they say? Because I want someone to prove me wrong, that this march is still marching on. Dying and killing, yes, the war still remains, but not fighting for what's wrong that's still placed on us still today. Let's stop the brutality. Stop the Red River from flowing with our blood. Stop killing each other, wiping out our own, as our ancestors look on with those slave warriors whose spirits stand in fear of what tomorrow brings. Thank you.
Wow. More or less close, it's always been close to me because I've always lived, I lived some years of my life there on this border, and I saw, for instance, my classmates from the high school who saw somebody trying to escape from Bulgaria and go into Serbia, and they turned him in, and they were rewarded by the school authorities with some watches and things like that. And for instance, in Bulgaria, when you are in the army, if you capture somebody at these points or kill somebody there, you immediately are rewarded with 2 weeks, like go home, things like that. So it was an interesting and kind of hard experience. So you never know which is better, to escape or to turn somebody who escaped, because if you escape you may get killed. If you turn somebody who tries to escape, you may get rewarded. So it was kind of an interesting choice during that time. Anyway,